Hey guys, today I'm going to tackle the somewhat controversial debate around collecting versus speculating versus investing in sports cards. And I want to hear your thoughts on this as well, so make sure you put them in the comments. Let's get started.
Hey, buddy.
Oh, actually, before I do get started, big thanks to video sponsor ComC.com, your home for buying, selling, and flipping all the hottest trading cards. Their consignment marketplace now home to more than 30 million cards from baseball superstars like Aaron Judge to Marvel favorites like Spider-Man. ComC has something for every type of collector. Make sure to visit ComC.com today to build out your collection with your favorite cards. As I always say, guys, it is the Disneyland for card collectors. Check them out. We will first start with collecting sports cards. What are we talking about when we're talking about collecting sports cards? And actually, if I'm going back to kind of my origins, the 89 score football set was the one that I could not afford at all as a kid. Those packs were literally like $3 to $4 back in 89, 90 at my local card shop. So I was relegated to 89 Pro set, which was great, but I could never afford 89 score. So in 2018, the very first thing that I purchased when I got back into the hobby was a complete set of 89 score football. And I actually love the binders. You know, I buy sets. So actually, I never really thought of myself as a set collector. And I'm probably not a set collector in the way that many people do collect sets, where they're chasing individual cards and building sets. I don't build sets, but what I do like to do is buy completed sets for stuff that goes back to my childhood that I either couldn't afford, or stuff that it was awesome that I want to just have it all in a binder so that I can glance through and get a walk down memory lane. So I've got complete sets of 89 score football. I've got 1990 MU Marvel Universe. I've got 86 Topps football. I've got 88 Flair basketball. And when I got back in, that binder of 89 score football, it was like 35 or 40 bucks. It was really inexpensive. And I would never look to break up the set, grade it out, and sell. I just want to have that in the binder so I can flip through and look at it. And I know some people are like, man, you got to get it out of the binder because the binder kind of ruins the cards or whatever. And I'm not even worried about it, to be honest. I just want to have it all in one place, and I like flipping through the binder. So collecting is certainly when you're not really as concerned about values. You're collecting particular players or sets, or you're opening packs, and you're just okay with whatever comes through. Maybe you just really like the design of a particular product. With a lot of new products, really cool designs out there, and it doesn't necessarily have to be Prism or National Treasures. It might just be a cool design that you like, and you're like, man, I just want to get some cards or get a particular team. I'm a huge New Orleans Saints fan, so maybe you're opening, looking for Saints players the same way that I was opening 89 Pro set, looking for Dalton Hilliard and Bobby Hebert, etc. All right, now let's move to speculating. And to be honest with you guys, I think the vast majority of what is done today is speculating. One thing that I did when I got back in the hobby that was fun is on the comic book side. This is back in 2018. A lot of times you're trying to spec, they call them spec books. You're trying to get ahead of the next movie that's coming out. Who's the villain going to be? Which movie are they going to make? And so I was buying some of these spec books on the comic side, and it would be older stuff. It wouldn't be any of the newer stuff. It would be, 80s books or 70s or 60s or whatever. And that was kind of a fun thing to try to figure that out and get ahead of the movies. The sports card side, when I got back in, I bought those sets that I had mentioned. I also bought a Jim Brown rookie card, a Joe Montana rookie card, kind of some of the stuff that you just never was affordable as a kid and stuff that I always wanted, so added those in. But then the speculation, and I just got lucky here to where in fall of 2019, I speculated on Patrick Mahomes and Luka Doncic. Now, I wish that I had put way more money, obviously, into those guys, but I bought a lot of, Elite Series rookie cards of Patrick Mahomes, PSA 10, an example. Luka Prism base rookie cards. I bought a few of those. I bought 2 PSA 9 Mahomes Prism rookie cards for 140 bucks back when they were 140 bucks. And those were really my spec guys, my main spec guys going back. But honestly, that was just pure luck. I also speculated on, Mason Rudolph and Ryan Finley and some of these guys. Actually, Jarrett Stidham, who just got the start with the Raiders. I had bought some of him as well and actually sold off a few of those cards right before he went to go start for the Raiders. Because I was like, man, I'm never going to sell these. These are just going to be sitting on my shelf forever. That was not a player I was looking to hold long term, or a player that I follow on the Saints or anything. That was just pure speculation. I'm buying this guy. Maybe if he starts, the prices go up. So it's prospecting. Prospecting and speculation are really the same thing. What you can also wrap into speculation is some of the mid-tier stuff that's really nice, frankly. There's a lot of really nice mid-tier stuff, and this is where the debate gets a little bit interesting when you're talking about investing versus speculating on kind of that mid-tier to high end, because it's my belief, really, if you look over the last few years and we had the massive boom, the massive card boom, obviously, and I've said it before, I think a lot of the mid-tier cards, kind of those mid-level cards, and maybe it's a $5,000 card, which is it's a high-end card for me, certainly. But in this world now, $1 million cards are out there, multi-million. So it's where like a $5,000 card turned into a $50,000 card. And we've seen a lot of instances of this where it went to 50,000 and now it's at 15,000, or now it's at 10,000. It's come kind of all the way back. It's like a 80% retreat, but it's still higher than where it was. And so I think a lot of that mid-tier stuff was kind of moved into different folks as maybe investment grade, whereas it never really should have been. It should have kind of stayed in that mid-tier and not necessarily high end. And again, high end can mean different things for different people. But when we look at really big time investing, if we're talking about collectibles, I've done research on this, and really you'll hear a lot of the top 10% of a particular collectibles category. And that's why you see when big money rolls into a collectible space, they're usually looking at 52 Mantles. And for sports cards, for example, it's PMG Jordan, it's a 52 Topps Mantle, it's 48 Leaf Jackie Robinson. They're looking for high grade vintage, so it's the top of the top, the best of the best. I don't know if that's a thing. Anyway, you get the point. They want the top tier, top 1% stuff, because it truly is rare / scarce. So the concern always with collectibles is mass production, and then can that hold up long term? And so, Beanie Babies are always used as that's the big example of something where, it got red hot, it was mass produced, and then it got slammed, and now a lot of it is mostly worthless. And so you hear a lot of talk about, the young quarterbacks, and this is a take that many people have. Justin Herbert's kind of that example right now. He's kind of the poster boy for this, I feel like, because his cards got so expensive, and unlike, an Allen or a Mahomes or a Burrow that are really kind of making inroads into the playoffs and done some things, Herbert's kind of that guy that's on the outside looking in right now, where he has some very expensive cards and has had very expensive cards, and people have speculated on these not invested, they have speculated. And the lingo is kind of a joke too. I've made jokes of like, hey, I invested in a cheeseburger for lunch today. So it's really kind of your viewpoint on that word investment. It can be used very loosely with alternative investments. And then you have hardcore traditional investors that are like, hey, it needs to be an income producing asset. It needs to be real estate. It needs to be a rental property. It needs to be a dividend paying stock. So it really just depends on who you're talking to, which makes the debate really fun. Seems to be popular in the hobby currently, and maybe always has been, is speculating prospecting with the end goal of adding to the personal collection or investing into higher end stuff, or maybe both. Maybe it's some of both of that. So, when you're looking at personal collection, and you look, if you're Jeff Bezos, maybe your personal collection is 52 Mantles, but for most people, like for me, it's Drew Brees. Drew Brees stuff is not at the top 10% of the collectibles market, not for collectibles, not for football cards. His black refractor numbered out of 100 maybe kind of gets into that bracket a little bit on the bottom end of football cards, but I think that would be reaching a little bit. But I think you get the point. I mean, for me, when I'm buying that Breeze stuff, I'm really looking for store of value. I know when I'm buying, particular Breeze cards that in 30 years, people are not going to look at it the same way they look at a 52 Topps Mantle. I would love for that to be the case. Hey, maybe they will. Maybe Drew Brees will be the Mickey Mantle in 30 years. No, he won't be. But, that's the thing, is I don't have that expectation. So it's all about what are your expectations when you're putting money into certain things. The big money guy, the Bezos that comes in and buys the PSA 10 Mickey Mantle 52 Topps, yes, he might be collecting that thing, but there's also an expectation of, I just got the best card in that entire category. And so what do you think, guys? I really think the majority of the hobby falls into the collecting / speculating bucket, and there's some in the investing bucket. I also think that you can have kind of a wicked personal collection that's maybe lower end stuff, but have 1 or 2 cards that are in that investment bucket too, that are on the higher end. So I think that's what's great about this, is everyone's got their own plan and everyone's got their own deal, which makes it fun. Let me know in the comments how you're doing it. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.